Hi, my name is Dr. Ayaz Afsa, and our topic today is what is plagiarism and how to avoid it. The objectives of today's session are to define plagiarism, to familiarize you with what constitutes plagiarism, to discuss how to avoid plagiarism, and to introduce two methods of references and citations. Let's begin with the definition of plagiarism. The Oxford English Dictionary defines plagiarism in the following words: the wrongful appropriation, a purloining and publication as one's own of the ideas or the expression of the ideas, literary, artistic, musical, mechanical, another. Means another person's ideas present as one's own. In the same way, the American definition from Webster's Third International adds, to commit literary theft, to present a new and original, an idea or product derived from an existing source. And the WPA Council for Writing Program Administrators, defines plagiarism in the following words: in an instructional setting, plagiarism occurs when a writer deliberately uses someone else's language, ideas, or other original material without acknowledging its source. This definition applies to texts published in print or online, to manuscripts, and to the work of other student writers. In the Oxford Dictionary, in concise Oxford Dictionary, plagiarism is defined as taking and using the thoughts, writings, and inventions of another person as one's own. So keeping in view these different definitions, let's see what constitutes plagiarism and take some examples for explanation. So in simple words, the plagiarist, the person who plagiarizes, is a thief. Chambers' dictionary actually defines a plagiarist as a kind of thief. And what kind of a thief a plagiarist is? The one who steals the ideas or writings of others and gives them out as his own. So what is stolen? What is a literary theft? Well, any of these can be stolen. First, the words, ideas, style, form, look and feel, hard work, originality, identity, credit, right, and fame. So if you take someone else's words, you are stealing the word, which are not your own expressions, but you have taken it from someone. If you take the ideas of someone else and present as your own, as you thought them, is again a kind of theft. You can copy the style of other people and present as if it is your own style of writing, then you are committing a theft. Form could be organization and structure, a pattern of someone, and presenting as if that was your own original thought. the look and feel. How can you steal the look and feel of others? Well, what other people have presented, you present yourself, copying others as if that is your original style. The hard work of the people you have stolen, because in writing, in thinking and developing, they put so much effort and hard work which you are just not acknowledging properly and presenting as if it is your own work. That is, you are stealing the hard work of someone else. Originality, that is not your original thinking, but you present it as if it is your original work. Identity, you present yourself the originator or the initiator of something, but actually you are not. You are taking the identity of someone else, so it is stealing the identity of someone else. And there are certain cases in which people have published other people's work with their own name. Everything was written by someone else, that was just taking the name away and publishing with your name. So that is basically stealing the identity of the other researchers. You steal the credit. I mean, if somebody does hard work, and credit should go to the one, but if you are stealing, so you are basically taking the credit which doesn't go to you, that belongs to someone else. And the right, that is the right of someone else, and you are stealing it from that person. And the fame, you get the fame on the basis of plagiarism. You disguise yourself and you got a fame. That fame should have been given to someone who actually deserved it, who was the originator. So you have stolen the fame if you have been committed a crime of literary theft, that is called plagiarism. So there are different types or forms of plagiarism, and I will move on to discuss them one by one. First, there is a verbatim plagiarism, that is a direct copying from a source. Use of the original wording of the source without giving quotation marks and full reference comes under this category. So the verbatim, word for word plagiarism includes: number one, wholesale copying, that is handing in an entire paper, a research paper, copied from a website, a friend or some other source, and present it with your own name. That is a wholesale copying, and that is category number one type of plagiarism. Second, cut and paste, that is copying large chunks of text, phrases, sentences or paragraphs from one or more original sources and inserting it into the assignment. So that is a cut and paste with little change, but most of the material has been copied from the original sources, and without acknowledging them, using in your own work or your own dissertation or research work, is a cut and paste type of word for word plagiarism or copying. I have taken some of the examples here. On the left hand, you'll see over here are the original source, the original words of phraseology, and on the right hand you'll see the plagiarized version. If you look at the original text, it says, such story myths are not told for their entertainment value. They provide answers to questions which people ask about life, about society, and about the world in which they live. And this person has plagiarized from this original source. Look, specifically, story myths are not for entertainment. So I have given the red here for the material which has been copied from the original source. Specifically, story myths are not for entertainment. Exactly, you see, story myths are not told for entertainment value. Rather, they serve as answer to questions, exactly the same, answer to questions which people ask about life, about society, and about the world. So here I have given my comments on it. There is a misuse of source. That is the source, but it is not acknowledged. And it is word for word copy of the original source. Quotation marks are not used. Reference not provided where it was taken. And author not given credit who originally wrote this original version. So it is a kind of verbatim plagiarism, that is a word for word copy of the original source. So how to avoid this? How to improve this? Well, what is needed to do in this case to avoid plagiarism? So direct quotations need to be marked with quotation marks, are set off from the main body of the text as per the style guide which the paper follows, and needs to be cited properly. So if you are using this source, it needs to be improved by giving the direct quotations into speech marks and set them separate from the main text, which should be in your own words, and we should differentiate what you have lifted from the text and what is your own language and phraseology, and then give a full reference. Look at another type of plagiarism, a comparison. Before we move on to next example, look, you see how it can be improved if the proper citation and reference is given. If this is what is the original wording and its correct version, which won't be considered as a plagiarism, would be something like this. Davidson explains that, and you have to even story myths answer questions people ask about life, about society, and about the world in which they live. So here the concept, the idea is taken from the same source, but there is use of quotation marks to indicate the passage is a direct word for word quotation from the original. There is the insertion of the author's name, Davidson, in the same sentence as the quote, and the page reference here, number 10, is given. So it doesn't mean that you can't use what other people have said in their work, and you can't make it part of your own writing or research. The problem here is you need to acknowledge and give a full reference and credit from where you are taking the text, instead of copying and presenting as if it were your own idea, your own word, and your own sentences. Again, look at another example, and you'll see there is a plagiarized version and how that can be improved. We'll look at this. Technology has significantly transformed education at several major turning points. So in the left, this is again the original source, and the plagiarized version would be like this. In examining technology, we have to remember that computers are not the first technology people have had to deal with. The first technology was the primitive modes of communication used by prehistorical people before the development of. So in a different color, in an orange color, you'll see the material which has been lifted from the original source. Look at this. The first technology was the primitive modes of communication used by prehistorical people before the development of spoken language. So this sentence has been copied from here, and it's a word for word of the original source. Quotation marks are not used here. Credit not given who wrote this. This was the source from where it was taken, and reference not provided. So it is a plagiarized, another example of a plagiarized copy. Okay, now look at what would be the correct version. If you say in examining technology, we have to remember that computers are not the first technology people have had to deal with. Frick 1991 believes that, and in speech marks, the same sentence, and it is closed with the speech marks. It begins with speech marks and closes with speech marks, and page number is given. So how the correct version is different from the plagiarized version? Author and year of publication, that is Frick is the name, and the author name, and the year of publication, and the speech marks, the exact words which are lifted from the source are given. So in this way, it is the correct version, and that is acceptable how it should be taken. So quotation marks are used to indicate that the passage is a direct word for word quotation from an original source. Look at another example. It is original source in the left. Theories differ from philosophies and models of teaching. A philosophy is a value system where theory seeks to explain real world events and can be certified through scientific investigation. Models of teaching are approaches to the management of some aspect of classroom instruction, and they may not be independent of subject area, grade level, age of the student, or the setting of learning. A characteristics of learning, therefore, learning theories is that they address the underlying psychological dynamics of events. Thus, they provide a mechanism for understanding the implications of events related to learning in both formal and informal setting. That is the original source. Look at the plagiarized version. Theories and philosophies are different from each other because theories seek. So I have used a different color, red here, for the material which has been taken from the original source. Okay, so I mean these words, learning theories, are so, and look at, seeks to explain real world, seeks to explain real world from here, events, and can be certified through scientific investigation. And there, this plagiarist has used, you see, learning theories is on here, address the, okay, it is from here. I mean, he has skipped some of the material from here to from models of teaching up to a characteristics of learning theories up to here. And then the same words addresses the underlying psychological dynamics of events. So they provide a mechanism for understanding the implications of events related to learning in both formal settings. So that is, with a little bit, a few words added, otherwise it is the same, word for word of the original source, quotation marks are not used, credit not being given because it is not mentioned from where it is taken, and the reference is not provided. So that is another type of plagiarism. Okay, if you have to give a proper reference of the same source, it can be improved. The correct version would be theories and philosophies are different from each other because according to Gredler 2001, theories seek to explain, and that is usually given in a block quotation because it is more than 2 lines. And the page numbers are given, PP means pages from 12 to 13. Name of the writer is given, year of publication is given, and full reference is provided. It is usually in a block or indented form. So an indented block is used to indicate that the passage is a word for word quotation. An indented block is used to indicate that this passage is a word for word quotation. Original author is referred to. Citation is given in the reference list as well. So this is the correct version. Second type, the first was word for word copying of verbatim plagiarism. Another kind of plagiarism is an inappropriate use of paraphrasing, using with only slight changes the material of another, ideas being presented in the same sequence as in the original source with only the insertion of synonyms, no citation is given, and credit not being given to the original author. So that is an inappropriate paraphrasing. Its examples are here. If we take the original wording that is over here, the sequence, the key ingredients are 1, inducing a response, B, reinforcing subtle improvements, and number 3, providing for the transfer of stimulus, for scheduling reinforcements. The plagiarized version of this would be inducing a response. It is taken from here, number 1. Inducing a response, providing for the transfer of stimulus control by gradually withdrawing the prompts of cues up to here, reinforcing subtle improvements in the behavior, and scheduling reinforcements, number 4. So these are exactly taken with a little change here in one sequence, otherwise they are exactly the same words. So that is a misuse of the source. Only the original author's words have been moved around, inserting and deleting small portions as needed, and the original author has not been credited. So that is another kind of plagiarism, that is wrong paraphrase. So how to paraphrase this correctly? What should be done? A correct paraphrase needs to be a condensed version of another author's work, an original articulation of another author's ideas, structured differently from the original and need to be cited properly. Then it becomes a proper paraphrase. Look at this example. The same. If it is properly paraphrased, it would be like this. According to Gredler 2001, the same factors apply to developing complex skills in a classroom setting as to developing complex skills in any setting. A response must be induced, then reinforced as it gets closer to the desired behavior. Reinforcers have to be scheduled carefully, and cues have to be withdrawn gradually so that the new behaviors can be transferred and maintained and referenced. So here the proper reference is given to author and year of publication, first of all. Since paraphrase occurs, so it is a paraphrase, so there is no need for quotation marks. They are not used, but they have been written in the writer's own language, and they have been rather modified and properly paraphrased in a condensed form, not keeping the same sequence as we have seen in the original. Look at this text again, that is the original wording and the plagiarized version. Such story myths are not told. If you have to summarize it, how will you do it? The plagiarized version would be Davidson explains that myths answer questions about life, that myths answer questions about life, about society, and about the world in which they live. About the world. So here, only Davidson, credit is given to the source, but exact words have been taken without using the quotation marks. Only the original author's words have been moved around, otherwise they are the same. These are not in the words of this plagiarized version. And the full reference, who is David and when did he write, Davidson, that is not provided. So it also falls under the category of plagiarism. If you have to improve it and make it acceptable or a correct version, it would be like this. As Davidson explains, the importance of story myths is in their relevance to the everyday lives of their readers. So original articulation of idea, who gave Davidson. Author is introduced at the beginning of the sentence. Proper citation of source material, page reference according to the style manual of MLA, which we'll discuss in the coming session maybe. That is Modern Language Association Notes Manual, how to cite properly. Other practices which constitute plagiarism. So there were the two. We started with the first, that was verbatim plagiarism, and the second one was where the author was just moving around, that inappropriate paraphrasing or summary. Other practices which constitute plagiarism or fall under the category of plagiarism are: number one, borrowing organization, using the journal plan, the main headings, or a rewritten form of someone else's material. That is organization and structure. Number two, submitting someone else's material as one's own. The practice of employing or allowing another person to alter or revise the work which a student submits as his or her own. This includes buying or copying an entire paper or article from the website. Number 3, failing to reference a footnote material. Lifting selected passages and phrases without proper acknowledgement and thereby passing off someone else's ideas or words as one's own. So that is a borrowing organization or pattern, and these are different forms. Next is collusion. Presenting work done collaboratively as one's own without giving the names of all the participants. So collusion occurs that the people work in a team or in a group, and one person takes all the credit and publishes as if it was his or her original work or individual work. That comes under the category of collusion, and that is another kind of plagiarism. While working in collaboration with other students, it must be clarified from the professor whether after a group discussion an individual written assignment must be turned in or whether a collective work can be submitted. So if it is a group work, names of all the people should appear on it. It should be a collective work, not presented as a single person's work. Then another practice is that is a false citation. What is a false citation? Documents outside sources that were not actually consulted. You give a long bibliographical list, but you haven't read them. That also gives under this one. Sometimes you have read the secondary sources, somebody commented on it, but you didn't read the original source, but you are presenting as if you have read the original source and you have come up with the critical reading of this other one. Then multiple submissions of academic work it also comes under the category of plagiarism. Revising or using all or part of an earlier piece of work or producing a single piece of work to satisfy two requirements is another practice. There is an importance of intention. So plagiarism is using another's words with an intent to deceive. The plagiarist implies, and why do people do plagiarism? The plagiarist implies that I said this, that is a deception with respect to author. Who actually said it? The plagiarist intend to say or implies that this is true, another deception with respect to truth. That I own this, the plagiarist say or intends to say or implies that I own this, that is deception with respect to right. That I experience this, intention is that I discovered this, but he didn't, deception. That I researched this, but he didn't. That this was told to me, but it wasn't. That I have it on good authority, that I found this, but he didn't. That this is obvious, and it's not. So there is an importance of intention. What is the intention of a plagiarist to do this? And these are the points which might be the one a plagiarist thinks, and they are all deceptions. So how to come plagiarism avoid this. So we need to cite and document where it is due in order to give credit to the source we have used. There are many professional organizations such as MLA, that is Modern Language Association, and APA, that stands for American Psychological Association. They have lengthy guidelines for citing the sources properly. So what needs to be documented? When exact words or a unique phrase has been copied, it should be properly documented, put into speech marks, and full reference should be given. When ideas presented in a book, magazine, newspaper, web page, TV program, letter, advertisement, or any other medium have been incorporated in work, it should be properly documented. When any diagrams, illustrations, charts, pictures, or other visual material has been reprinted, that must be acknowledged and documented. When information is gained through interviewing or conversing with another person face to face, on phone or in writing, must be documented. When any electronically available material, including images, audio or video, has been reused, that needs to be documented. So the bottom line is, document any words, ideas, or any other productions that originate somewhere outside of you, which you didn't do yourself. So you need to acknowledge it to avoid plagiarism. So why must we cite? What's the point for giving a reference? To acknowledge and give credit to sources, the origins of words, ideas, diagrams, illustrations, quotations borrowed, or any material summarized or paraphrased. Second, to show that you are respectfully borrowing other people's ideas, not stealing them. That is to prove that you are not plagiarizing. And to enhance the credibility of your research by giving the readers an opportunity to check out your sources for accuracy, you inspire reader confidence. So these are some of the reasons for which we must cite. So there are different methods of citation. There are parenthetical references, footnotes, and endnotes. Let's take them one by one. First, parenthetical references. It is the simplest way to cite sources. The author's last name and page number or numbers are placed in parentheses in the text to give credit to sources. Here is an example. If your paper you write, in their preface, the authors point out that learning hypertext markup language HTML and extensible hypertext markup language XHTML is like learning any new language, computer or human. Musiano and Kennedy, page number 11. So what you have done, that you have written this, you have taken this in speech mark the quotations, and you have given the name of the writers and the page number. That would be within the text. In your bibliography, more appropriately in MLA, a works cited page, how will you write this? You will give the full reference. That would be Musiano, Chuck, the full name of the writer in a reverse order, first surname, then first name, and Bill Kennedy, it is not reverse, it is written as it is. And then the title of the book, that should be in italics. I just put, you see, underline to make the point clearer. Is 4th edition, and then it has the place of publication, colon, and O'Reilly is the publisher, comma, and this is the year of publication. So if you refer to this within the text, a short reference, you will give the full reference in the bibliography or in the work cited in this form. That was about bibliography. What about footnotes? What are the footnotes? You place a superscript number after the last word of the quotation. Okay? Place the same superscript number at the beginning of the footnote at the bottom of the same page where the citation occurs. Example: in traditional British East Africa, between the time of puberty and marriage, a young Akama girl must maintain an avoidance relationship with her own father. And you see there a script number 6. So if this is a quotation, you put a number at the end of this one, and this would also come number 6, and you give the full reference. It is from Sigmund Freud. Note that it is not in a reverse order, it is in the same sequence, first name and surname, then comma, and then it is Totem and Taboo is the title of the book, and within parentheses you write New York, that is the place of publication, random publisher, comma, 1918 is the year of publication, and after that 17 is the page number. So sometimes you need a footnote, and footnote means that you don't give the full reference within the text, you just put a number there, and at the bottom of the page with the same number you give the reference. And this was the example for that one. So in your work cited page, so if this is a footnote, you also need to give its reference in the bibliography or the work cited page. How it would be different from a footnote? You compare this one with this one. The first difference is that it is in a reverse order. Name is in reverse order, means the first is the surname and then the initial of the first name. Then after that, here was a comma, here you have a full stop after the name. It is followed by the title of the book. It is same in both cases, but it is followed by full stop here in work cited, whereas in footnote there wasn't any punctuation mark. Then this is a place of publication, but before that you see that it was in parentheses. In work cited page of bibliography, it is without the bracket here, and colon, and the publisher random, and comma, and 1918 full stop, and you don't give the page number here. That is footnote. Sometimes in some institutions the requirement is not that of footnotes, but you are supposed to provide the endnotes. Endnotes are written in the same way as footnotes. The main difference is that footnotes are placed numerically at the foot of the very same page where direct references are made, while endnotes are placed numerically at the end of the essay or a chapter on a separate page and titled endnotes or just notes. Let me give you an example here. The World Bank Encyclopedia defines taboo as an action, object, person, or place forbidden by law or culture in speech mark. That is a quotation, and that is taken from World Bank Encyclopedia. This is the number you give. Insert And if you are typing in Word, Microsoft Word, it automatically inserts. If you go to insert, check footnote, and it will pull a number like this, and then also provide you a place to write at the foot of the page. Okay, it is Alan Dundee's Taboo and World Book Encyclopedia 2000 edition. Look here, this is the taboo is the topic, and it is maybe equivalent to a chapter or one section or one or few pages on taboo, or maybe just a definition. It is taken from there, and this is the full reference of, it's the title of the book that should be in italics and not underlined, but I wanted to make obvious, that's why I've used underlining here, and that is the 2000 edition. So there are different editions, maybe there could be slightly changes in page numbers, so you need to mention also which edition was consulted. In your work cited, so that is a footnote, in your work cited page, what will you write in a bibliography? In the same way, the surname is first, comma, and then the first name, full stop. Then the chapter, taboo, in quotation marks, and World Book Encyclopedia is the title of the book in which this chapter occurs, and then full stop and 2000 edition year of publication. So what need not to be documented? So it's not everything you need to document or give a full reference. So what is that which you can't or you don't need to document? That is writing your own lived experiences, your own observation and insight, your own thoughts and your own conclusions about a subject. Number 2, when you are writing up your own obtained results through lab or field experiments, you don't need to document. When you use your own work, your own artwork, digital photographs, audio and video, your own, you don't need to document. When you use common knowledge, things like folklore, common sense observations, myths, urban legends, and historical events, but not historical documents. You have to document the historical documents, but other myths, urban legends, and historical events, which is a common knowledge in a common stock, you don't need to document. So why we need to avoid plagiarism? Well, academic dishonesty has severe consequences. And what are those? For students, they can be failed grade on an assignment or a course if they are caught doing plagiarism. There could be expulsion or resuscitation from the university. And for teachers and researchers, what are the consequences? There could be loss of integrity and credibility in academic circles, termination of services, and loss of research grants and sponsorship of any kind from Higher Education Commission. So Higher Education Commission's plagiarism policy states, in the special meeting of the Commission, which was held on 14th of April 2007, it was decided to preserve academic honesty and sanctity of the degrees awarded by the universities and degree awarding institutes in Pakistan. HEC will have a zero tolerance policy towards any kind of plagiarism. And here I'll refer the full policy document which is available on the HEC's website. So you must read it. There would be many more points in that document. So plagiarism is considered to be a moral crime in the entire academic world. The major cause of plagiarism in Pakistan is a lack of awareness about what constitutes plagiarism and how to avoid it. Well, there are, as I mentioned, that there are many citation manuals. You can follow any like MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, there could be some others. Some universities or institutions have developed or adapted their own style of referencing manuals. So you must follow one consistently. Here I'll give you some examples of MLA format, that is Modern Language Association format. Cross-referencing allows readers to locate the publication information of source material. That is related, why do we need cross-reference? This is of great value for researchers who may want to locate use sources for their own research projects. That's another reason that you need to give the full reference or the cross-reference. Another purpose of citation or cross-referencing is that you can avoid plagiarism. So proper citations of your sources in MLA style can help you avoid plagiarism, which is a serious offense, and it may result in anything from failure of the assignment to expulsion from the university, and this is taken seriously all over the academic world. Where to find MLA format of referencing or style? Well, there is MLA handbook for writers of research papers, where you can find this. The next you can find in composition textbooks, or you can check their website, that is www.mla.org. MLA style has two parts. One, works cited page, and then parenthetical citations. In a works cited page, or some people call it bibliography, a complete list of every source that you make reference to in your essay is provided. It provides the information necessary for a reader to locate and retrieve any sources cited in your essay or your dissertation. A works cited page looks like this. The writer is Charles Dickens, and his famous novel Bleak House. If you want to give a reference to that one, you'll begin with the name of the author in reverse order, Dickens, comma, Charles, full stop or dot, Bleak House, the name of the novel, and when it was written, 1852 to 1853, full stop, and then you have a New York, that is the place of publication, with colon, and Penguins are the publishers, comma, and 1985 is the year of publication of the book. In the same way, another work from Charles Dickens is David Copperfield, which was published originally from 1849 to 1850. Again, publisher place of publication is New York. These are the publishers, and that is the year of publication. If the person has more than two names, first name and surname, how that would be written? It is J. Hillis Miller. So you write Miller, that is the surname, comma, and then J. Hillis. Charles Dickens. The Word and His Novels, that is the title, complete title. And Bloomington is the place of publication, and University of Indiana Press is the publisher, 1958. Work cited. Most citations should contain the following basic information: author's name, title of work, and publication information. So if it is a book, you'll give the reference like this, and I have given you many examples in the above, in the previous discussion. If it is an article, how it will be cited, its reference will be given. Again, Clayton Joy is a name and it is a reverse order. It is an article, so it will be in speech marks, Dizzy Days. And this is the New Yorker in a magazine, and it was published on 5th of October 1998, and page number 40 to 45. If you have taken a material from a web page, how will you do that? In the same way, you have the number, name, author's name in reverse order, then the title of the web page, and a place, and then the date, and the Turner Network Television, 28 October, and you also need to give the web address, that is www.roughcut.com, and that should be in angular brackets within the angles. Angle begins and angle closes. And if it is a newspaper article, how will you cite it? It will be in the same way, writer. In speech marks is the title of the article, and this is the newspaper, New York Times, and it's the date of publication. A source with no noun author. So if there is, in some cases you will see that you don't have actually an author. That may be some organization or institutions who publish something. So it will be given like this. At the place of author, there is nothing. You begin directly with the title, and where you found, you see, New York Times, 14 September year. If it is a TV interview, how will you cite? Writer name in reverse order. Interview with Matt Lauer, The Today Show, NBC, Indianapolis, and Indianapolis, 22 October 19, reference. And a personal interview, you write, you see, personal interview and date. Well, there are many other ways or points which you need to learn how to give their proper reference. I'll recommend that you visit their website, that is www.mla.org. Yeah, org. www.mla.org, and you will find, you see, the latest developments. They frequently and periodically update their website and give references, explanations how to give the proper reference. So today our session was about plagiarism, its different forms, kinds, and we discussed with reference to the material where it was plagiarized. Then we moved on to discuss how to avoid plagiarism, and at the end we discussed one way to avoid plagiarism is to use a writing manual, and there are many manuals available. One of them, which is frequently used in humanities, is called MLA, that is Modern Language Association. Another, which is mostly used in social sciences, is called APA, that is American Psychological Associations. They have their own website. MLA website is www.mla.org, and APA website is www.apa.org, where you can find the latest development and way of giving the proper reference to quotations, figures, tables, and many others. That is the end of today's session, and thank you very much for listening.